The primary visual cortex is a large cortical area located in the back of our brains that processes visual information and has the most detailed map of visual space in the cerebral cortex, shown in red in this picture. Visual space can be seen with one eye, represented here in red or blue, or with both eyes, shown in purple. Visual information from each eye is transmitted through the optic nerve to the visual thalamus and then to primary visual cortex. The unfolded primary visual cortex of humans is approximately the size of a credit card. In this cortical credit card, the map of visual space coexists with other maps for eye input and stimulus orientation. Neurons responding to inputs from the left and right eyes segregate, forming stripes that resemble a zebra pattern as the one shown here. The black and white stripes represent regions of the cortex responding to left or right eyes. Neurons responding to similar stimulus orientations are also organized in clusters that form a pinwheel pattern as the one shown here. The different colors represent regions responding to different stimulus orientations and rotate around single points of the map, forming a pinwheel pattern. Hubel and Wiesel proposed a model to explain the organization of these cortical maps. In their model, the cortical stripes for different eye inputs and stimulus orientations are organized in a cube as the one illustrated here. L and R stand for left and right eyes. The orientations are illustrated by small lines at the front top corner of the cube. Krenko et al. Proposed a modification to this ice cube model that incorporates cortical representations of lights and darks. In the revised model, the stripes for each eye, left or right, are made of stripes for lights and darks, which are called on or off inputs and are shown here in red and blue. Unlike the stripes for eye input, on-off stripes are not separated by sharp borders and show greater overlap, shown here in purple. Moreover, visual space is mapped smoothly at a resolution of 0.5 reticles per millimeter, as shown at the top of the motor. This high resolution allows the same point of visual space to be mapped redundantly within 1 millimeter of cortex. The dotted lines illustrate cortical paths representing the same stimulus orientation and crossing at pinwheel centers. Krenko et al. Also showed that the map of visual space is dark-centric. That is, the map is more precise for darks than lights, and darks frequently act as anchors of a spatial position. In this figure, each square frame illustrates visual space represented by a cortical point measured with darks, shown in blue at the top row, lights, shown in red at the middle row, and light-dark differences, shown in red and blue at the bottom row. From left to right, the frames show changes in the representation of visual space along a cortical path of 1.2 millimeters. Notice that the position of the darks moves slightly upwards, while the position of the lights rotates around the darks. The square frame at the right shows the average from 0 to 1.2 millimeters, and notice that the average light-dark difference shows a blue spot at the center surrounded by red. The polar plots at the bottom illustrate the preference for the stimulus orientation of each cortical point, up and down at 0 millimeters, left at 0.6 millimeters. Finally, the scatter plot at the bottom right shows the centers of the strongest responses to darks in blue and lights in red. We notice that the dark-centric representation of visual space in the brain is reminiscent of the entrance to the visual pathway, a central dark pupil surrounded by a brighter iris.